Warning, unusual audio-visual activity in your house.
Rule 1. No house is worth spending more than 15 minutes in the sun. It will cook you. And you might think, oh, it's 5 o'clock at night, it won't be that hot. It will be scorching hot. If you do stay and scream, you could be here at 4 o'clock in the absolute hottest part of the day. Make sure wherever you're going to queue up is not in the direct sun. Rule number 2, pick the right day of the week. If you come here on a Saturday, everybody else will be here with you, and you probably won't like it. Really consider coming on a Thursday, consider coming on a Sunday. Those are kind of Wednesdays are pretty good too, but Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, Friday and Saturday are absolutely nuts. There's a reason that the tickets to come those days cost more than the other days, and it's just way busier. Rule number 3, stay and scream, if at all possible. So if you're already in the park and you have tickets for Halloween Horror Nights, then you can stay here and you can start queuing up at about 4 o'clock. That's sort of the reasonable time. About 4 o'clock, you go into the line, you get into Halloween Horror Nights, stay and scream, and then you start lining up for some of the first houses. This puts you in that pole position, so you can be the first ones on that house, and you can be the first ones on the next house when you go through there. And this way you can do generally about 4 houses in the first hour before they start letting people in at about 6. Rule number 4, bring an umbrella. Now you might say, it's not gonna rain that day. There might even be more reason for you to have an umbrella if it's not going to rain that day. Because especially a nice black umbrella or something that will block the sun, used above you to block the sunlight out, can keep you waiting in line. If you didn't follow rule number 1, might keep you alive, keep you from having heat stroke. Rule number 5, think you'll save money by boozing up, sneaking it in here to the park? Probably not. As versus during Universal during the day, Halloween Horror Nights, if you come in, especially if you come in after 5 p.m. through security, heightened checks, and they will be checking your water bottle. Number 1 rule, keep yourself hydrated. There's water fountains around the park, a lot of places that you can get water, and you are going to need a bunch of it. So they will let you in. You are allowed either an empty reusable bottle, or you can bring a full disposable bottle of water. You need to make sure it's completely full, or they will take it away from you there. I just can't stress it enough. Stay hydrated, my friends. Number 7, see which houses have air-conditioned queues, or at least queues that are in the shade. So the very best one is Monsters of Latin America. It actually has an air-conditioned queue. Number 2, Ghostbusters. Even in the early part of the day, the queue is pretty much in the shade, all of it. The very worst, Insidious, and number 2, A Quiet Place. They're both really in the sun, and your wait time could be an hour sitting directly in the sun. And when I tell you that the crowds are intense, this is the Insidious line. So this thing folds back on itself 8 times, and often it is a full hour in the direct sun before you are up going on the house. Compare and contrast this with making the left and going on Ghostbusters, where the queue in the shade and will generally take you about 15 minutes. Net gain here is that you get off of this quicker, which puts you out going through some of the other houses faster, more houses in the same night. Now, Insidious is a great house. So is A Quiet Place. Don't get me wrong, they're worth doing, but that's kind of what you're gonna do. Of course, the A Quiet Place line makes everything else pale in comparison. Major Suites also has its queue, mostly in the air conditioning inside the old Fast and Furious ride.
Major Sweets candy, flip your lips, kids.
If you've seen how long the lines can be, which is occasionally hours long, you might be a little bit scared. But part of the fun of being here is actually being with this many other people that are excited about being here. So a lot of times when the scare actors come through, people will clap, people are dressed up in all sorts of fun stuff and t-shirts that maybe go back 10 years of Halloween Horror Nights. And so there's a real culture here. And really, I'm gonna say it, in Orlando, this is the best event that happens at any theme park. Sorry, Disney. It's just true. This is the best themed event of all. This is the One Ring, and it rules them all. It can be really chaotic to get into, but the show is always amazing. Nightmare Fuel, the Night Circus, definitely worth seeing. Number 7, if you're sensitive to noise, consider bringing earplugs. Slaughter Cinema, especially this year, is just outrageously loud. So behind me, you can see that these lines say 25 minutes. I guarantee you, having waited in these lines, this is a line. The reason is there's a little latency period here. So when the line goes from 5 minutes to 25 minutes, the way that they do this, they send somebody through with a little pass, and then they click off, okay, it took them this long to come through the line. But somebody that they just put in the line, which is at least 45 minutes, they haven't made it through with that little pass yet, so they can't update that. So be really careful about the lines that you get in. Use your sense. Common sense really dictates here. It is also important to note what value you bring to Universal Studios being here. And really, the people in the standby lines, the value that you bring is to scare the crap out of the people who can afford to go in the express line. This is the express line. These people have paid an additional, like $100 per day in order to avoid the lines. So if there's people that have paid that extra money, they let them go first. So some of these people, they might do 20 houses. You want to make sure that there aren't too many of them in a line, and there aren't just too many people there. It's really critical that you come prepared for the heat. So, 2 things that I love. My little fan here, which moves faster than it looks like it is in the video. And my Frog Tugs. It's the rag that you get wet. It's a cloth that it stays a little bit wet, cools off your neck, and you give it a couple of snaps and it cools your neck off again. These 2 things make it survivable for me to be out here in the heat. If you're not from Florida, you're gonna need something. The real horror.